Hello, welcome to an overview of the wellness guide. So, this will be perfect for you if you've gone through a lot of trial and errors with different types of diets where you're cutting things out or doing a bunch of exercise that you hate, and you just keep falling into that routine of all in, all out, all or nothing, on track, off track. And if you're just plain tired of jumping from diet to diet and you want a bit of a reset and to try something new and different, they explain the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting different results. So I hope this is your chance to try something different. We're not going to focus on cutting anything out or doing things we don't enjoy. We're going to focus on all the wonderful things that we can add into our world to help us feel better. There's so much conflicting evidence, like information out there on the internet about what you should be doing, that it can get very confusing and overwhelming to even know what action to take because there's conflicting evidence everywhere. And when we get overwhelmed, we can go into kind of freeze mode and then end up just not taking any action. So I looked at all the different diets that were out there that people found success on, and I piece together the foundational bits of them all that are the drivers of success. On the outside, they may look really different. There's some that are low carb, some that are high carb, vegan, all meat. Those things are the small little differentiators that set them apart because they need to have something marketable so that they can make money on being different and saying that they have this little magic bullet. But for all those different diets and programs out there, they all share these same foundational principles that help make our body function better and feel better. So I wanted to walk you through some places where you can start if you want to pare it back to the basics and focus on those real big pieces that will be part of your lifestyle forever. And I'll explain a little bit about why they're so important. I break this guide up into like a 30-day challenge where every 5 days you'll introduce the next habit. So take 5 days at a time to just focus on the one habit, and you can turn this into something that you do over like 3 months or the year or whatever. Take as much time as you need to get the first habit feeling second nature until that's into your routine. That's now just what you do, and then add in the second habit. So once you start a habit, it's going to stick with you moving forward. To have a habit stick, it doesn't need to be perfection. It's not even that it has to happen every single day or perfectly. Think about back when you were in school. You don't need 100% score in every single grade to get a passing grade, to move on, to keep progressing, to keep learning. So keep that in mind. Focus on, most of the time, I'm going to try to do these actions so that it's consistent, and that over time will create a lot of big change. So the first one that we're going to focus on is water. Our bodies are like over 50% water, and it's one of those things that our days can be just so busy that we tend to forget about giving our body what it's made of, which is water. You'll notice even just like a 2% dip in hydration, like if you're just a little bit dehydrated, you'll have more brain fog, less clarity, less ability to like remember things, and less energy overall. Plus, if you have any digestive issues, when we're dehydrated, it's really hard for things to move along properly. So getting in some water is a great place to start. I put out a 1.5 liter amount of water daily for you to start with and try, but understand that everybody is unique, and all the information from everyone outside of you, because you're the expert of your body, it's all suggestions. It gives you a baseline, a place to start, but you get to decide what's best for you. Depending on the climate you live in, the exercise that you partake in, the different types of food that you eat, some have more water in it, some don't. You'll get to play around with finding what's the best amount for you. You can tell by when you go to the bathroom. Is your urine light pale? If it feels like you're drinking and it's coming out right away and it's clear, that might be a sign that you're drinking too much water and you need more minerals in your diet. If your urine is too dark, it may be a sign that you're dehydrated. So play around and know that it's you that is in charge of what works for your body. But this is a great, safe place to start. Aim for 1.5 liters of water daily. You can count your teas in there. Try not to count those beverages that have a lot of sugar in there, because the body, in its efforts to balance your blood sugar, will kind of create a diuretic effect like it does with caffeine and stuff, and you'll end up you'll lose some more of your water. So sticking with herbal teas or plain water, or add berries or citrus to your water, or electrolytes, things like that, you can count all that towards your water intake. So here's some examples of why it's important and how to get that in. And that is a really important place to start. If you're looking for kind of step one to getting in more water, you'll notice a really big difference if you start your day off with just 1 to 2 cups of water in the morning before anything else. You know, in the winter, when you're breathing, you can see your breath. That's because you're visually seeing air, like water droplets, leaving your body. So every time you're exhaling, you're losing some water. That's why we need to constantly rehydrate anytime we're exercising and sweating, every time we're going to the bathroom, crying, all the things that are getting liquid out of our body. But when you're sleeping, unless you're sleep hydrating and you're a sleepwalker, we are not rehydrating throughout the night. We're just losing water through every breath. So in the morning, we wake up dehydrated, and it can be very easy to get busy with the day and just jump straight to a coffee. And then you don't end up having a sip of water until noon. And no wonder our energy, like if you're someone where you find like, oh my gosh, 2 p.m., you could like have a nap, maybe some dehydration at play here. So have 1 to 2 cups of water in the morning, have it in a water bottle by your bedside so you can visually see it, chuck it back, and think of that as like an internal shower for your body. And you'll notice it'll help get your digestion going regularly as well. So a very important place to start. And we're lucky enough that we have water that's really accessible. So also something that there's not many obstacles to. Get a water bottle that you like. The biggest thing to creating a new habit is to have a cue to remind your brain, because habits are built through our subconscious. So we need to have that visual cue. So make sure your water bottle is always visible and easy to grab. Now, moving on to the next one, my favorite. We're going to aim to get in 6 handfuls, 6 cups. Estimation doesn't have to be perfect, but of whole foods, veggies and fruit into your day. It can be all veggies, all fruit, or a mix of both. And before you panic and say, I can't have 6 handfuls of fruit every day, it's too much sugar. Don't panic. Fruits are built with water and fiber to help release the sugars more slowly, so it's not spiking your blood sugar like crazy. And it's full of other things, antioxidants and minerals and nutrients and all that good stuff. So if it's easier for you to start with most of that being fruit, or all of it being fruit, any amount that you're moving towards a more whole and unprocessed diet is the way to go. And this doesn't mean you can't have any other types of food. You can't have any types of refined or processed foods at all. This is just add this stuff in, because often we start out with trying to cut out sugars, cut out gluten, cut out all this stuff, because we think that that's what's causing us to not feel good. But it's often that the reason our bodies aren't feeling good is because we're malnourished, we're missing nutrients. We often get disconnected with our body and food, and thinking that food is just fuel. It's just the thing we either manipulate to make our bodies bigger or smaller. But it's not just fuel. It is an energy source for the body, but it's also the building blocks. It's what makes you. It's what makes up your brain and your heart and your lungs. And your body is always working to protect you and help you thrive and survive out here. Just think, when was the last time your lungs or heart took a day off? Or when your eyes took a break? They're always constantly working, which means they're always constantly going through resources and breaking down and needing to be replenished and rebuilt. So every time you can, try to add in some colorful plants into your diet. If currently you're not having any types of whole food plants, fibers in your diet, go slow. Add it in slowly and work up to 6 handfuls. Often when we go from 0 to hero, that's when some people may say, vegetables, they don't sit well in my stomach. I don't feel good. But it's because you don't have the microbiome, the guts that are there, like the gut bugs that are meant to digest those fibers. If you've had a history of not having a lot of fiber in your diet, it'll take some time to rebuild that diversity of gut bugs in there so that you can eat through these foods without having that digestive discomfort. So just take your time, work your way up to 6 handfuls slowly. And that can look like half a plate at breakfast, lunch, and dinner of plants, or half a plate at lunch and dinner, and then a couple snacks throughout the day. Another reason why this is one of the starting habits that I always like to focus on is because fiber feeds those gut bugs, and about like more than 90% of our serotonin and over 50% of our dopamine, these neurotransmitters that are important for boosting our mood and our feelings of reward and motivation, it's created in our gut. And with the help of these gut bugs that are being fueled by this diversity of fiber. So when we're feeling in a good mood and motivated, it's way easier to tackle all these other changes that will be important. So just think about that. Food is really medicine. When you're eating these foods, you're fueling the gut bugs for better gut health, better brain health, so you can feel better mentally and physically. You'll have more energy, and then you can keep going and doing the things you like to do with your life. So stick on this one as kind of like a forever meal plan. Just be like, all right, I'm going to aim to add in plants and colors everywhere I can. So this is a big one. Once you get consistent on this, you can reach out and we can talk about all the other specifics if you want to like dial things up a little bit and breaking it down into the other macronutrients of like protein, fats, and carbs and all that jazz. But really keep it as simple as possible until you can stay consistent, and then you can play around with dialing things up and being a bit more specific on stuff. But promise, if you're adding in more fiber and more colors and more nutrients, you'll be giving your body the building blocks it needs so it can be stronger and work better for you and with you. So this is a really big one. Have fun with this. Get as many colors in it as you can. Now, digestion. Digestion is the next one that I really like to focus on, because you know that saying, you are what you eat? Well, you are what you eat, but really you are what you absorb. If our digestion isn't working properly, regardless of what we're eating, we're going to have a hard time because we're not absorbing those nutrients properly. So we want to take care of our digestive system, because that is the system that allows us to absorb and uptake the nutrients that are the building blocks for our body. And really importantly, is it takes out the toxins and the toxic byproducts to help keep our body healthy. So a very important thing to focus on. There's lots of different ways to support your system, but we're just focusing on big pillars here. So something to experiment with is giving your body 2 to 3 hours to rest and digest. So without eating before bed, which can help in a lot of ways. One is if acid reflux is something that's really common for you, it could happen because your stomach is full, you've been eating, and then you lay down, and then there's all this pressure from the contents in your stomach that is weakening this little sphincter at the bottom of your esophagus that's meant to close it off from all those acids. So if you find you're waking up in the middle of the night with a lot of acid reflux, this will be especially an important one for you to try, is giving yourself some space to rest and digest. When we're sleeping, we want all that energy and resources of our body to be going out and doing some spring cleaning, repairing, recharging everywhere in your body. If we've just eaten a really big meal before bed, we can wake up feeling a bit groggier because our energy and resources were stuck in our digestive tract for the first few hours of sleep. So if you want to get more energy and give your body some time to like rest and repair, the digestive system is busy all day breaking through all of the meals that you've eaten. It doesn't often get a big window to clean things out and relax and repair. So this is a really good thing to try to do most of the times, is give yourself 2 to 3 hours between your last meal and bedtime. So you get a good chunk of time where the digestive system can clear out, and you'll notice you'll become a lot more regular and routine because it has some time to do what it needs to do. and you'll have more energy because you'll be sleeping better, and the body will not be stuck in the digestive system with all its energy. It'll be going about and clearing everything else out. So really give this one a try. If you have a habit of snacking late at night, which there is no rules like to when you're allowed to eat or not. It's not like you're breaking any rules eating after a certain time. This is just a general rule of thumb to give it a shot and see how your body feels. But it's in no means like, don't panic if you end up eating something closer to bedtime. Just most of the time, try to give your body a little break. It can be tough if it's already a habit of, okay, when you finally like relax and it's like TV time, and then that's time to go and have all your snacks as a little reward for getting it through the day. And so that can be a really big comfort, and it's a tougher habit to get out of. So make sure that you have other habits that you're adding in within that time window to make it easier to stay consistent with it so that you're not feeling like you're missing out. Find other things that provide comfort and connection so that you can get through that little period until you create a new habit. Trying a new hobby, brushing your teeth, doing some skincare, changing locations. Like if it's a habit every night to be on the couch watching TV, try something. And like sometimes when we do something repetitively, our brain that turns into the cue for like, oh, I'm on the couch. This is when I usually snack. Okay, even if I wasn't hungry, I'd go get a snack because that's kind of the routine. So if we change location, like going into a different room to read or to stretch or things like that, that will change the cues that our brain is getting. So I'd love for you guys to give this one a good try, and you'll notice a lot of big changes if you're someone who deals with a lot of bloating, gas, diarrhea, constipation, acid reflux. This will be a big one. If for some reason, because you're like a night shift or whatnot, where it's tough to not eat in that 2 to 3 hour window, another rule of thumb that you can play with is, regardless of where the timing is, allow at least 12 hours between your last meal and your first meal the next day. So that will give you a little extra flexibility, but it'll still give your body at least that 12-hour window of not having to process new food coming in, so it can go and spend that energy elsewhere to repair your body. Moving forward is movement. Now, movement is one of those things where we can link it to either earning or burning food. And I want to give us a different perspective of looking at our body and movement. It's not just something to earn food or to burn off the food we ate. It's to make us stronger so that we can go and pick up the kids and play tag or go hiking or do the job that we want to do or partake in the hobbies we want to partake in. It helps boost our mental health. So really try to shift your mindset around movement to where it means something different for you. And to give you another reason why our bodies are built to move, and you may start to look at movement differently, is think of it as taking the garbage out in your body. So we have our circulatory system, right? So that is what's pumping the blood and everything around to all of our tissues. It's got the heart as the pump to move things around for it. And then we have this other system called the lymphatic system. And that is like the garbage disposal system for the body, where it takes out all the waste byproducts and moves them around so they can get out of our body. And it's like the highway for all our immune cells. But there's not an extra lymphatic system heart that's pumping things along. So the body relies on contractions of the muscle through movement or manipulation to create that pressure to move the lymphatic system around. So every time you're moving your body, it doesn't even have to be in the gym. It doesn't have to be something crazy. You don't have to be sweating and like red faced or doing anything you hate. Just moving your body more throughout the day helps take that garbage out in the body because it's moving the lymph around. So as a visual, you can think of it of the difference between stagnant and moving water. So would you rather go fill up your water bottle with swamp water that's been stagnant or water that's been flowing continuously down the mountain? With that visual, you can see that when things are stagnant, just like when our body is sedentary, when we're sitting for really long periods of time, that's when the yucky stuff starts to grow in there and turn into a swamp. And then if it's constantly moving, you could drink right off of the mountain. It's clear and full of life, and it's cleansed itself because of the movement. So keep that in mind. Moving your body will help clear out that swamp water. We don't want to be sitting still for too many long hours in a row. Now, moving forward to mindful eating. Sometimes we can get so focused on the what we're eating that we forget about the how we're eating. And this links back to a couple things. One is the digestion piece, because if we're putting in all this time and effort to eat those good foods that are the building blocks for our body, our ability to absorb them makes a big difference. Our mind and our body are really connected and they work together. So when we're distracted or rushed or stressed, that has an impact on how well our body can intake those nutrients. If we're distracted, driving, watching TV, our brain is busy focusing on something else. So it's not telling the body, it's not sending the signals of the body to go, hey, food's coming in. Let's make sure we release those digestive enzymes. And so it can properly break down the foods and take out the nutrients. So that's one reason why being mindful and present is so important. It also allows you to be more present in the moment and slow down so you can chew thoroughly. Sometimes we're so rushed and distracted, we almost like black out, and then we're like, oh, our meal's done. What happened? And so we forget a big part of the process, which is chewing our food. If you're somebody who deals with a lot of bloating or a lot of like food sensitivities, sometimes just slowing down and chewing your food well and being mindful will make a big difference in that way. It will also give you the time to recognize when you're full. If you've ever noticed when you're rushing and then you're done your meal and you're like, oh my God, I'm so full now. I need to like sit and digest for a bit. We end up being over full and putting a lot of pressure on our digestive system to break all that stuff down. And that also leads to those slumps in energy, because now we have all this energy locked in our digestive system because it has to work so hard to break that stuff apart into usable pieces. And I understand that our society, it's not set up that we're sitting at the table and being totally present for all the meals. I totally get that. We're not aiming for perfection, just some increased awareness and just dialing it up that 1% better. So play around with even just one meal a day, or if you're at your desk or busy, distracted doing something else, focus on the chewing, focus on the slowing down and taking longer to eat. Just dial it up in any little area you can, and you'll notice that there's a big difference to how your body is feeling and how it's handling the food. You'll have more energy and less digestive issues. Now, let's move on to one more. The one thing actually I wanted to say here, the mindful eating will also help decrease stress, because when you're mindful and in the present moment, we can't be anxious or worried, because those feelings exist in the past or the future. If we're worried or regretful or overthinking something that already happened, we're mentally in the past. And if we're anxious and stressed about something that's going to happen in the future, that's when our mind is in the future. But if we can just come back to this present moment, then those feelings won't be taking over our brain and we'll be able to be in a more calm and relaxed state. So mindfulness with eating and mindfulness in general can be really helpful for reducing that chronic stress response. Because when our body's stressed out, its priority isn't digestion. It's in that fight or flight survival mode. And if you think of it way back when that stress response was created, it was to put you into fight or flight to save your life. So it takes all the resources away from your digestion to make sure you're ready to fight or flee, because its sole purpose is survival. And it doesn't care if you're digesting something well, because it just wants to make sure that you're alive for the next day. So remind yourself that chronic stress has a real big impact on the health of your body as well. And bringing some more mindfulness into your day, which you can stack with your meals, eating mindfully, can help reduce your stress response. Now, one last little tip, I think I skipped over it. There we go, sleep. Sleep is a big one. And sometimes we almost feel like it's a badge of honor to be able to accomplish lots with less sleep, but we need sleep. We need sleep. That is when our body does the recharge and repair. And when we're not sleeping well, that can throw everything out the window. So don't skimp on your sleep. You may feel like currently like, no, I can do it. I only need like 4 or 5 hours. It's fine. But that's causing a big burden of stress on all of your organs. And you may not feel the impacts right now because your organs are working double time to help you do what you need to do. But eventually that means that they will break down and fatigue faster. So in 5, 10 years time from now, a lot of chronic illnesses will start creeping in, and it's because of this lack of sleep. So this is something that you can pay attention to by avoiding screens for an hour before bed. That'll help your mind get ready for sleep. We need to see light in the day so we get that signal that our body is ready to be awake. And then we need to reduce the amount of light that our brain is seeing so that we can start to get ready for bed. So avoiding screens an hour before bed is helpful for that. And then another one is not hitting the snooze button. This can help in a couple ways because our body really works on routine and rhythm. So we want to go to bed at the same time and wake up at the same time. When we're hitting the snooze button, we're wrecking that routine, but also we sleep in these like 90, the different waves of our sleep. It's like in these 90-minute intervals. And when we hit the snooze button again, we end up disrupting ourselves from that 90-minute cycle, and then we kind of fall asleep again, but then it wakes us up again in 10 minutes. So we end up waking up feeling more tired. So really try to avoid screens when you can to help your body get into that natural rhythm with seeing light during the day and not at night. So it helps you fall asleep faster, and then not hitting the snooze button so that you're not groggy in the morning. Now, this is a really easy way where you can practice building some self-confidence. I haven't met anyone yet who says that they don't want to build more self-confidence. And the formula for building that, in my opinion, is with every promise that you make or break to yourself, you make or break your self-confidence. So I imagine it like these little bricks that make up your body. And every time you make a promise to yourself and you follow through with it, you add a brick of self-confidence. So you're getting stronger. Every time you make a promise to yourself and don't follow through, you lose a brick of that self-confidence. And so we want to be keeping our promises more often than not, and that'll build some stronger self-confidence. So linking it back to this sleep habit, if you set an intention to not hit the snooze button, every time that you follow through on that promise to yourself, you're building your self-confidence. So be very intentional with the promises that you make to yourself. So that being said, that's a little bit of a whirlwind through some of the really foundational habits that can be beneficial for helping you feel better. I'd love for you to give this a try and work on doing these consistently and regularly. And then if you have questions about like how to make it easier for you to accomplish these things to make it fit into your lifestyle, my contact info is in here. So give me a message and I can help you out with that. But I hope this gives you a place to start. If you want to do some things to help your body feel better, but you're tired of doing the yo-yo dieting or cutting things out, this is a great way to start giving back to your body because it does a lot for you. And we want to also look after it. So I hope you give these a shot and don't be shy to reach out if you have any questions. Okay, thank you for hanging out, and I hope you start feeling better soon.